another book somewhere. Because what happens on the other side of the room, because then the shift and the dynamics begin to change. Everybody who's married ought to say this with me. I know that's right. Because when it is, you're just dating. It's one level of love. But then when I get you, oh, I got you now. And when I got you, if I'm in the spirit of God, what I did in the flesh to get you, I'll keep doing it. But if I'm in the flesh, I'll begin to act like the devil. And then when it is that you want me, I'll make up an excuse. Man, I got a headache. High five your neighbor. I ain't seen neighbor. You better make sure that your next relationship is from God. That was the wrong neighbor. High five your neighbor. I ain't say neighbor. You better make sure. I don't care how handsome he is. I don't care how good she looks. But you better make sure that it's from God. For the addendum, men are from Mars and women are from Venus. Then the only outlet that you have to understand is what's going on with my wife. Is Psalm 128. Look at somebody real good and say Psalm 128. Psalm 128 gets us into the mind of what's happening here. It gets us in the mind of what's happening in the relationship of two believers. This is the prayer that is recited at every Jewish wedding in the day. It is an admonishment. It is a mantra. It is a mantle for every believer who is in fact wants to keep their relationship alive in God. It is not prayed with the bride. It is not prayed with the groom. And so the rabbi, before he brings the garments from the back to go over his vows, prays this prayer and anoints his head. Preach full of preach. He says, we're going to have church in a minute. You want your marriage to work this year. He says in verse number 1, fear the Lord. Oh, I'm in this book. Hallelujah. Look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, you want your relationship to work? Fear the Lord. Now that sounds good, but to acknowledge God does not mean that I fear God. I'm secure enough to tell you that I'm 49 years old. I'm 49. I'm a black man. But I gotta tell you that I'm scared of dogs. Y'all forgive me, but can I preach? I'm secure enough to let you know I don't want no dog in my house. I don't want no dog close to me. I got a problem with dogs. Y'all ain't gonna help me. I got a problem with dogs. As long as they on a leash, the owner got him, I'm good. Let me go back now to my high school workout days. I could be jogging in high school, quick as lightning. Y'all don't believe me? Ask Larry. I could be jogging, see a dog, see the dog on the leash. Heart gets to pumping, but as long as I can see the leash and the one holding the leash, then I'm cool. If I'm jogging on the same trail and I see a dog running toward me, it ain't just me, it's my niece Shawana in Atlanta too. If I see a dog running toward me with no leash and I'm looking around and there's nowhere to go, I got a problem. Let's have church. I got a problem with the body of Christ. Is that we have been trained to know about God on a leash. Y'all ain't gonna help me. Preach, boy, preach. So we know about God through his love, through his redemption, through his mercy and his grace, through the New Testament. But we want to ignore Exodus chapter 15, where God is a God of war. So we don't fear God as men, because we know him as love. And so we perceive love as a weakness. So you got a lot of men who don't come to church because they say to themselves, I can serve God in my own way. It's not until you get a fear of God. And what can happen if God really gets upset with yourself? Can I take it further? Most of us who sin willfully are not afraid of God and the consequences for committing sin. All right, it's gonna get tight now. Look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, a whole lot of us who sin willfully are not afraid of God and the consequences for committing the sin that God hates in his nostrils. So fornicators will roll over, jump out of the bed. Oh, I'm gonna find you this morning. Drive all the way home without a second thought until their cycle comes on later. Y'all ain't gonna help me. I said it, I did. I said a whole lot of us will roll over. Don't even brush our teeth. Don't even say I see you later. But we get up out of somebody else's bed that we are not supposed to be in. And without a second thought, it don't even bother us until we don't even see our cycle. Have fun, your neighbor. I say, neighbor, there's some folk in here that's not even scared of the God who created them. And so then, if the thought ever crosses my mind, what were you thinking? I slept with this person